And on a freezing Christmas Eve, when the city looked beautiful only from a distance and cruel up close, a single decision changed the direction of two broken lives forever. It wasn't a grand gesture or a carefully planned act of charity. It was a pause, a moment of seeing. And the words spoken beside a trash bin that night would stay with one man long after the snow melted and the lights came down. Daniel Harper tightened his grip on the steering wheel as his luxury SUV crept through downtown traffic. Christmas lights shimmered across glass towers and polished storefronts, reflections dancing across the windshield like something out of a holiday postcard. To anyone watching, Daniel looked like a man who had everything figured out, a self-made millionaire, a respected businessman, someone who had escaped poverty through discipline and relentless ambition. But inside the quiet cocoon of his car, Daniel was simply a widowed father trying to make it home before his 8-year-old son fell asleep waiting for him. On the passenger seat rested a small gift bag, hastily wrapped, the paper creased from being rushed. Beside it lay a paper star, cut unevenly and colored too boldly, something his son had made at school. Daniel had promised they would hang it together on the window, just like every Christmas since his wife died. That promise sat heavy in his chest, right alongside the familiar ache that never quite left him. No amount of money had ever managed to buy back warmth once it was gone. As he slowed near a red light, something along the side of the road pulled his attention away from the glow and gloss of the city. Under a flickering street lamp, behind a closed bakery, a woman knelt beside a trash bin. She was digging through garbage with bare, trembling hands. Her coat was oversized and torn, sleeves too long as if it once belonged to someone else. Her shoes didn't match. Snow clung to her dark hair, melting into her collar, as though the night itself had claimed her. Daniel's foot eased off the accelerator. His stomach tightened with a discomfort he usually avoided. He had donated to shelters, written generous checks, attended charity galas where kindness was served alongside champagne. But this was different. This was close. This was human. He told himself he was late, that stopping would complicate things, that someone else would help her. But his son's voice rose in his mind, clear and innocent from earlier that day. Dad, does Santa come to people who don't have homes? The question had shaken him then. Now it refused to let go. Before he could talk himself out of it, Daniel pulled over. Horns blared behind him as traffic flowed around his stopped vehicle, but he barely noticed. He stepped out into the cold night, the wind biting through his coat, the crunch of snow beneath his expensive shoes sounding strangely out of place. The woman didn't look up. Her focus remained locked on the trash, as if she were searching for something invisible to everyone else. Daniel cleared his throat, suddenly unsure of what to say. All the rehearsed kindness he'd practiced in safer spaces dissolved under the weight of the moment. His hand slipped into his pocket, fingers brushing the crisp edges of folded bills. The familiar solution, the easy fix. "Excuse me," he said gently. At the sound of his voice, the woman froze. Slowly, she turned her head. Her face was pale from the cold, her eyes shadowed with exhaustion. But there was something else there, too. Something sharp, unbroken. She didn't look ashamed. She didn't look afraid. She looked tired of being misunderstood. "I'm not stealing," she said quietly. The words hit Daniel harder than any accusation ever could. He stopped mid-motion, the money still in his hand. His breath caught somewhere between surprise and guilt. He hadn't accused her of anything, yet her words revealed how many times the world already had. "I didn't think you were," he said quickly, lowering his hand. He wasn't sure she believed him. She turned back to the trash, fingers brushing aside wrappers and empty boxes. "I'm looking for something," she said, her voice softer now. "Something important." Daniel hesitated. What could be that important? She paused, as if deciding whether he deserved the truth. Then she whispered, "A drawing. My daughter made it for me." The city noise seemed to fade. The hum of traffic dulled. Daniel felt pressure build behind his eyes. He thought of the refrigerator at home, covered in his son's drawings. Crooked houses, stick figures holding hands. Sons that never stayed inside the lines. Without thinking about the cold or how ridiculous he must look, Daniel knelt beside her. Snow soaked through his pants as he reached into the trash bin. They searched together in silence, two strangers bound by something neither had planned. After a moment, the woman let out a sharp breath. She pulled out a folded, stained piece of paper. Her hands softened instantly. She smoothed it carefully, reverently, as if the paper itself might break. The drawing showed a woman and a small child holding hands beneath a lopsided Christmas tree. A bright star hovered above them. On the back, written in shaky letters, were the words, "Mom, you're my home." She pressed the paper to her chest. Her shoulders shook as tears finally spilled over. "She's not with me anymore," she said quietly. "I lost my job, then my apartment. Everything went wrong so fast. Tonight was my turn to sleep outside. Daniel forgot the cold, forgot the time, forgot everything except the sound of her voice. In that alley, on Christmas Eve, kneeling beside a stranger, Daniel realized that success had never prepared him for pain like this, and he sensed, deeply, that this night was only just beginning. The woman stayed there for a long moment, clutching the drawing as though it were the only thing holding her together. Daniel remained beside her, unsure whether to speak or simply bear witness. The silence wasn't awkward. It was heavy, filled with everything she had lost and everything he had never had to fear losing. And yet, in that narrow alley, the distance between a millionaire and a homeless woman felt impossibly small. Finally, she wiped her eyes with her sleeve and took a steadying breath. "I'm sorry you had to see that," she said. "People don't usually stop, and when they do, they look at me like I'm a mistake." Daniel shook his head, his throat tight. "I don't see a mistake," he said honestly. "I see someone having a very hard night." She studied him, measuring the sincerity of his words. Then she nodded once. "My name is Anna," she said. "I wasn't always here." "I'm Daniel," he replied. After a moment, he added, "I'm a dad." Something shifted in her expression. "Then you know," she said quietly, "how fast everything can fall apart when you're just trying to hold on for your child." Snow continued to fall, settling on their shoulders as if the night itself were listening. Daniel offered her the money again, slower this time, not as a solution but as an invitation. Anna looked at it, then gently shook her head. "I don't want it to end like this," she said. "Like I'm just a problem someone paid to forget." The word stung, because Daniel knew how true they were. "Then let me do something else," he said. "Let me at least get you something warm to eat." After a long pause, hunger won the argument. They walked together toward a small diner glowing at the end of the block. The bell above the door chimed softly as they stepped inside, warmth wrapping around them so suddenly that Anna flinched. Daniel ignored the curious looks and guided her to a booth. He ordered soup and bread without asking, trusting in their simplicity. As steam rose from their cups, Anna stared at the table before speaking again. "I used to work at a care home," she said. "I helped people stand, eat, remember who they were. I thought if you worked hard and stayed kind, life would meet you halfway." She laughed quietly, without humor. Daniel listened, truly listened, and as Christmas Eve stretched on, neither of them realized how much that simple act, stopping, had already changed everything. The diner grew quieter as the night deepened, the earlier rush fading into the soft clink of dishes and the low hum of a radio playing distant Christmas music. Anna spoke slowly, as if each memory required careful handling. "Then my husband left," she said. "Medical bills piled up. I missed one payment, then another. One bad month turned into a bad year." She wrapped her hands around the warm cup, as though grounding herself. "People think homelessness is a choice. They don't see the 100 small losses that lead you here." Daniel nodded, something inside him cracking open. He told her about his wife, about the night he held his son, and promised he would always be there, no matter how tired or afraid he felt. Anna listened quietly, her eyes softening. "Your son is lucky," she said, "to have someone who stops." The words followed Daniel long after the soup was gone. When they stepped back outside, the cold greeted them again. The street looked the same as before, but Daniel knew exactly where Anna would end up if he walked her back to the alley. His heart pounded as responsibility wrestled with compassion. "I have a guest room," he said suddenly. Just for tonight. No expectations. You can decide what to do in the morning. Anna stiffened. Fear flashed across her face. I don't want charity. Then don't take it as charity, Daniel replied. Take it as shelter. One human helping another. She searched his face for a long moment before exhaling. One night, she said, the drive to his house was quiet. Snow blurred the streetlights into soft halos. When they arrived, the house glowed warmly, the Christmas tree visible through the window. Inside, Daniel's son was still awake, sitting cross-legged on the floor. He looked up, curiosity lighting his face. Daniel's heart skipped. This is Anna, Daniel said carefully. Before he could explain more, his son stood and walked over, holding out the paper star he'd made. Merry Christmas, the boy said simply. Anna knelt, taking the star with trembling hands, tears spilling freely. Thank you, she whispered. That night, the house felt different, as though it were quietly aware of the miracle unfolding within its walls. Anna stood near the doorway, clutching the star in her daughter's drawing, tense as if she might be asked to leave at any second. Daniel showed her the guest room, simple, clean, warm. She pressed a hand to her mouth at the sight of a bed. Just rest, he said. Nothing else matters tonight. Downstairs, Daniel's son tugged his sleeve. Dad, is she okay? She's had a very hard time, Daniel said, but tonight she's safe. They hung the paper star together. The familiar ritual feeling new again. Long after his son fell asleep, Daniel sat at the kitchen table, replaying the night. Upstairs, Anna lay awake, overwhelmed by warmth and safety, clutching the drawing as sleep came in fragments. Morning arrived softly. The smell of coffee drifted upstairs. When Anna came down, Daniel greeted her gently. His son looked up from his drawing. I made another star, he announced. This one's for your daughter. Anna blinked back tears. Over breakfast, conversation flowed easily. Later, Anna stood by the window. I should go, she said quietly. There's no rush, Daniel replied. But I won't pretend this solves everything. If you're willing, I can help you figure out next steps, not as a handout, but as support. I don't want shortcuts, Anna said. I want my daughter back. I want to stand on my own. Daniel respected that. In the days that followed, he helped her connect with services and temporary work through one of his company's outreach programs. Anna worked relentlessly, refusing special treatment. Daniel watched from a distance, humbled by her strength, while his son asked about her each night. Winter stretched on. Anna moved into a small transitional apartment. She visited often, sometimes with bread, sometimes with nothing but her presence. The house filled with quiet rituals, shared meals, laughter, stories. One evening, Anna arrived exhausted. They postponed my custody review, she said. 3 more months. I'm tired, she admitted, but I'm not quitting. Spring came slowly, and with it, news. Anna had been granted a supervised visit with her daughter. When she returned that day, tears streamed down her face, but they were tears of relief. She remembered me, Anna whispered. She ran into my arms. You didn't save me, Anna told Daniel one night. You stood with me. There's a difference. A full year passed. When Christmas Eve returned, the paper star still hung in Daniel's window. His son carefully wrapped a small gift. It's for Anna's daughter, he said. She likes stars. Anna had her own apartment now. She had regained full custody of her daughter. On this Christmas Eve, Daniel drove slowly past the same alley. But this time it was filled with light. Volunteers served warm meals. Laughter echoed through the cold air. Anna stood there, bundled in a coat that fit, her daughter's hand tucked into hers. When she saw Daniel, she smiled, a smile made of survival and peace. Later, Anna spoke softly. People ask what changed everything. They expect me to say money or luck. But what changed everything was that you stopped and saw me. She paused. When I said I wasn't stealing, what I meant was I was still a person. That night, Daniel watched his son kneel to give Anna's daughter a handmade star. The girl hugged it to her chest, just like her mother once had. On the drive home, his son asked, Dad, do you think Santa comes to everyone? Daniel smiled. I think Santa looks a lot like people who choose to care. Later, standing by the window, Daniel understood that real wealth wasn't what you owned, but what you were willing to give, your time, your attention, your humanity. Somewhere in the city, Anna and her daughter fell asleep together, safe and seen. And as Christmas Eve slipped into Christmas morning, Daniel made himself a quiet promise to keep stopping, to keep seeing, and to never underestimate the power of one small act done at exactly the right moment.